So, Steve, in the documentary, there is a lot about marijuana, that your daughter had used marijuana and that you, at least the way it was portrayed, didn't have a problem. And it seems that this could, and that it may have contributed to the crash. So, because remember, she apparently didn't even try to apply the brakes, and she was going extremely fast. So, on the marijuana side, which seems to be pretty relevant, what do you say about that?
In the documentary, that is part of a longer answer. That was one part of, and I can't remember what the question was because the documentary people had interviewed us for 2 days straight, and then came back and did more interviews. So there was a lot of questions answered. My answer wasn't my answer. How to explain this wasn't in support of marijuana, and it wasn't saying I'm smoking marijuana. What I was saying is that who am I to say who can smoke and who can't smoke? Now, I never allowed my daughter to smoke marijuana. How was I stopping her? You know, I couldn't lock her up in her room. I'm not quite sure where there's a problem with what I said. It was never, hey, everybody go smoke marijuana. Hey, you should, you know, I don't understand why the documentary felt the need to put that in there. I don't know what the relevance was to my daughter in this accident she was in.
Right. We should also say that, and this is made clear in the documentary, that at the time of the crash, they didn't find any evidence of marijuana or any other drugs in her system.
That's not necessarily true. They found some traces of marijuana in her system. There was 3 markers for it, and 2 of the markers were inactive, and the third one could have said OMVI. That's in the detective notes, or that was in the discovery that we saw. And when we found out that they did not want to charge her with OMVI, they wanted to charge her with murder. So there was some marijuana in her system.
Okay.
Now, one of their experts said that you couldn't prove OMVI with it. So I don't know what the truth is, but she did have some marijuana in her system.
Can we go back to something you said earlier, which is, who am I to say what my daughter can and can't smoke? But she was 17 years old at the time. And so there are a lot of people who are...
Have you ever smoked?
I have,
When you were younger?
Yeah.
I'm not with my daughter all the time. All I can do is tell my daughter, don't do it, don't do this.
But
I had no idea.
You may have, I'm just curious, did you actually tell her that? Did you have talks with her about it?
Yes, I've told her many times. Okay. Now, I had no idea she was smoking in the car like that from the videos. That was new to me. I understand. I knew she did it, but I couldn't stop her. What am I supposed to do? You know, am I supposed to lock her up in a room? All I can do is teach her, don't do this. You're going to get in trouble, or this is going to happen, or something. You know, that's all I can do. I'm a dad.
I'm curious, Steve. This case obviously got a lot of attention at the time. Her trial did, and I'm sure you were speaking out in her defense at that point. What changed? I'm curious what the school said to you. What they saw specifically in the documentary.
The school said that the diocese, my understanding is it came from the diocese. They got inundated with some phone calls from concerned parents, and so they decided to put me on administrative paid leave until they did an investigation. And that's what I've been told. And supposedly they're doing an investigation, and that's all I know. So that's what I was told, and blah, blah, blah. Now the internet has gone absolutely crazy about stuff, and that's, you know, now you guys are calling. So I mean,
and I get your point too, that you cannot stop a 17-year-old who wants to get marijuana from smoking it. But the one thing you could do, and maybe I'm not reading this right, so you tell me, is make it so she can't drive a car. Take the keys away, don't allow her to drive. What about that?
Mind you, I had no idea she was driving and smoking. Now, I got a daughter who's 17, almost going to be 18. If I'd have known, I would have had issue with it. I would have had huge issues with it, but I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
So I'm curious, you know, when the school says that they're going an investigation, I would imagine, I hope that they're going to speak to you at some point. is this about your parenting, or is this about your defending your daughter?
I have no idea. They have not spoke to me. I've called the diocese asking for. I asked to have a conversation, but in theory, I would hope they would support me like I've supported that school for the past 7 years. I mean, I don't know why they didn't speak to me first or bring me in and have a conversation with me. I mean, that's their decision. I mean, all I am is one of their teachers, you know. I have no idea. You have to talk to the diocese for that kind of answer.
So this is clearly not just the events and the prosecution of your daughter, but the documentary itself. It just must have turned your life upside down.
I think it's more what I said about the marijuana. I think that's where it's going. I've seen a lot online that I'm saying they're going, okay, it's okay to smoke marijuana. You can go smoke marijuana, and I smoke marijuana. If the diocese wants to test me every day, they can test me, and I won't have any marijuana in my system. I could promise you that.
Do you think that there was, when you watched back the documentary, you said that you sat for 2 days with the producers. Yes. I'm sure there was a lot that was said. How do you feel about did you watch the final product? Was it a fair depiction of what you said?
I did. Well, I did say what I said, but I think a lot of stuff was taken out of context, and we had a lot to say about what we think Mackenzie's innocence is in this, and that made me sound. There's more to it than just the 4, 5, 6 sound bites they had of us. You know, unfortunately, we had no editing, or we didn't have any of the control of the editing. They did what they saw fit. This is their product. They were very upfront with us when they spoke to us. And am I completely happy with how it came out? There's some things I like, and there's some things I don't like. You know, I mean, and we've gotten a lot of support for her and her innocence in this.
Well, just real quickly, this is hard to do quickly, but when you say her innocence, explain that, because to most people, she was behind the wheel, and
there was no braking.
Well, yeah, she was. There is zero evidence of intent and prior calculation in this case. There's no evidence, and the only evidence the prosecution actually has is 4.74 seconds of black box information. Your car has a black box like the airplanes, but it doesn't record the cabin sound, all that. It's mechanical, and it is a non-linear recording. And what happened, or what our car expert said happened, was that the car was, I can't explain the speed. First of all, I have no idea. Nobody is ever going to know what happened in that car. It's not that the car was going fast. It's not that the car crashed. It's why. There's no explanation of why. And the prosecution, even in this documentary, says, look, I turned over every rock. I looked at everything, and I couldn't find anything. So it's murder. So she did it on purpose. This prosecutor, in my opinion, is lazy. It's like the wife dies and they instantly think it's the husband. So there's so much in this case, and there's so much omittance of evidence and changing of evidence and illegally changing evidence that there is some.
You're not suggesting there was something that went wrong with the car, are you? I mean,
I don't know. It could have. It's possible.
Because the black box I would think the black box would have shown that if there was a mechanical.
No.
I think what you're saying.
Hold on.
I think what you're saying is this sounds more like, at least in your head, vehicular manslaughter than it does murder.
It is vehicular homicide, and it should have never left the juvenile court.
Yeah.
That car was coming down that street at a good clip, and I don't know if I'm assuming you have no idea what the road looks like, but the road has a little bend in it towards the end. The car hit a dip in the road that's giant and dangerous, and we've got all kind of video of this dip. And when I went through it at a good clip, my car went flying. There's bottom out marks in the cement. The city just fixed it this year, or over the summer last year. They finally filled this giant hole in. Before the car hit the building, crossed the road, the car thought it was flipping over. There was our car expert. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my thoughts straight while I'm saying this.
Okay.
Our car expert said The car thought it was flipping over. At about 5 or 6 seconds prior, there was the car system or felt the car go to the right, yanked on the right. And this is about the time where that dip was. The car thought it was, the car safety features thought the car was flipping over and deployed both side airbags. And our car expert, and this is, again, this is 4 or 5 seconds prior to her crossing the road, even before hitting the building. He said that the black box turned on and started recording, which is nonlinear. So the prosecution has only 4.74 seconds of information from when the box turned on to the accident. They have no idea, absolutely no idea what that car was doing other than going fast, which is reckless, from when she turned on the road. So there's so much more to this than what the prosecution put forth. We have we have contradictory evidence about things that were said in the court. There's nothing that says prior content or prior calculation, and there's no intent.
We hear, you know what, we're out of time, but we hear your point. I mean, your point is that you need to show intent in order to prosecute somebody for murder, and you're saying that this feels to you like the most they could show is reckless, is vehicular manslaughter.
And her not pressing the brake is not intent. Now, again, nonlinear.
We get it.
I get it.
So look, we are out of time. We really, really appreciate it. I know it's hard for you, but we appreciate you coming on.
Well, I hope you look into more of my daughter's innocence and maybe go to the free Mackenzie Shirilla page or Crime Circus.